In my last video, I saw some comments from people I believe that live in Colombia, and they let us know that people were getting killed in these protests that are actually going on right now. The situation just went from bad to worse because at first, those protests were about the new tax bill presented by the president and his cabinet. Today, May 4th, began the 7th day of protests within the framework of the national strike. Neither the withdrawal of the tax reform nor the resignation of the Minister of Finance have managed to stop the marches. So for some of you guys that are not aware, millions are protesting in Colombia mainly because the president tried to introduce a new tax bill, a controversial tax bill. Basically, this is what's going on. The reforms would lower the threshold at which salaries are taxed, affecting anyone with a monthly income of $656 or more. The proposals caused outrage among many Colombians who say they are already struggling to feed their families during the pandemic. Many middle-class Colombians and members of indigenous groups joined the protest. Cali continues to be the most concentrated and problematic point these days. A human rights mission composed of the Defender's Office, the Prosecutor's Office, the Attorney General's Office, and delegates from the High Commissioner for Human Rights was attacked. A new day of protest begins within the framework of another day of the national strike. Despite the fact that the president withdrew the tax reform proposal, they continue to call for citizens to continue taking to the streets to march against health reform, police abuse, the murder of social leaders, among other issues. According to a report, 18 people have died within these protests, and you and I know, you watching this video, when they say 18 people died, it's always more, right? Now, there's sit-downs going on in Cali because of these incidents, and the most significant one was the one made by several protesters to pay tribute to Nicolas Guerrero, who died in the middle of the demonstrations, apparently after being shot by the police. Guerrero, a young 22-year-old artist, was a relative of the city's mayor, Jorge Ivan Ospina. UN condemns violent repression of Colombia protests after at least 18 die. The United Nations has condemned the violent repression of protests in Colombia after clashes between police and demonstrators left at least 18 dead and 87 people missing. In a week of unrest across the country, riot police have rampaged across the smoke-filled streets, shooting protesters at point-blank range and charging at crowds with their motorcycles. Colombia's Defense Minister Diego Molano faces growing calls to resign, but insisted on Tuesday that police officers' conduct fell within the law. Our duty is to protect those who protest and those who do not from those who disguise themselves and take advantage of these crowds to terrorize Colombians, he said. But witnesses said officers have seemed to exacerbate tensions. It's like the police are waiting for night to fall so they can roll up and start shooting indiscriminately, said one community leader in a poor Cali neighborhood that has been repeatedly raided by police. I believe that community leader. I don't put it past the police to do something like that. And anyway, the images that you're seeing speak for themselves, right? Protesters seeking to block the entry of riot police into their community set up roadblocks made of burning debris. I've seen it with my own eyes, burning debris in Cali, some neighborhoods. When you see burning debris in the middle of the street and you're about to go into a neighborhood, it's probably an indication not to go into that neighborhood. Cell phone footage circulated via social media showed scenes reminiscent of a war zone. Authorities are investigating also that reports that members of a UN humanitarian mission were threatened and attacked. The city's airport, from which over 25 flights depart each day, has now been closed. Roadblocks on the edges of the city and on the road to the nearby Pacific Seaport and Buenaventura have also been reported on Tuesday morning. Jim McGovern, the Massachusetts Democratic representative, tweeted, "This violence is part of a disturbing pattern of excessive use of force, killings, and human rights violation." Colombia's economy has been ravaged by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has so far claimed over 75,000 lives, with daily death last week breaking the country's records. Duque, the president, axed his proposed tax reform on Sunday afternoon, 24 hours before accepting the resignation of Alberto Carrasquilla, his finance minister, but neither move has quelled discontent. Temperatures rising. Everywhere in the world, temperatures rising, not only in Colombia. The pandemic claimed a lot of jobs, so violence is surging. So I'll keep you abreast of what's happening as best as I can. But let me know what's going on in your neighborhood if you're in Colombia. Let me know what's going on in your neighborhood, even if you're not in Colombia. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share it with your friends, share it on social media. See you on the next video.